Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 11 of the Turn End podcast. Another disappointing result. As always, I'm joined by Chris Clark, Andrew Gallagher, and Stephen McKevitt. Well, lads, which one of you want to go first?
Steph's itching there. Look.
Yes, Steph's here on time, so we'll start with you.
We're not turning up last week. He gets to go first.
Yeah. Just let me at it. No, listen, I think we've talked about it before this, but I think we're all real angry at that performance. I think we thought we'd see a bit of a lift coming back to our own place from the Longford game. We thought like a poor performance. We scraped the draw out of it. We thought, listen, we'll kick back into gear now at home, start a strong 11. I thought the starting 11 was wrong for a start. Dropping McElhenney, don't know why. Like, I know he's been quiet, but he's the one that gets us going. If we are going to create stuff, he's going to be the one that's going to do it. I think we lost battles all over the pitch. Banks looked after Duffy twice or three times in the first half. He just nullified him. Zahiba wasn't really effective in the middle either. I don't know, like, we were just poor all over. It was so disheartening, and everything that could have been wrong with it was wrong with it. Players' attitudes, people giving up. Looked like we were beaten. Like, we just didn't start the game. From the very start, they were on top, and then we had the junior chance, which we probably should have scored, and we might have had something to hold on to. But like, even when they went down to 10 men, like, we never looked like we were seriously putting them under pressure, threatening them, creating chances. Like, we were snatching at shots from 20, 30 yards, hoping to go in, and then Boiler rushes out for the goal, gets done with a Megs, and then the shot shouldn't be beating a keeper at that level. Like, I know it's a good strike, but it's not a thunderbolt where it just zips past him. Like, it looked like he was miles away. It didn't even look like he was close to saving it. His confidence is totally shot now, Cherry. So where do we turn to? We can't go back to a BB. Like, he's on the floor as well. So like I said a few weeks ago, if there's any under 19s keepers up in Oriel, he's won the game. I don't know, just totally disheartening. Very, very poor body language, everything. And then I can't believe the interview at the end where it's like, I don't know. I can't believe it. I don't know what to say about that interview at the end. Awful.
Chris?
Yeah, I think Steph's probably right there. It's probably our worst performance so far, that one. I just, like, for halfway through the second half, if you have a team down to 10 men and you're still only having your first corner at what? 73rd minute was our first corner of the match. Mm-hmm. You know, like, what does that say? It seems we're not anywhere near the right end of the pitch. I think bar, like you say, Steph, you were slashing at a few shots, and they're all miles out, and Murray a few over the crossbar. And when Kelly come on, I think Kelly come on and probably gave us a little bit something with legs and stretched the game. But that's about the only positive I could nearly take. I think Zebo's header, what was that, 91st minute or something, was our first real meaningful shot on target. I think everything else was pretty tame. And then look, yeah, we could have maybe snacked something at the end, but great save from the keeper. But no, I just think body language is wrong at the club. Players look not unorganized, but disinterested. I think they need a bit of focus from a manager being there who's going to be committing their long term. It just shows the players are going, well, you know, who am I performing for at the moment? And they don't know. And that's come across, like, you know, halfway through that game, that free kick that Cleary had that he knocked out for a corner, trying to roll it back to Cherry. That said it all to me. It's like he didn't even clearly look up to see where Cherry was. Cherry wasn't even paying attention to see if that ball was coming back to him. And they managed to give away a corner for a free kick inside their own half. It's madness. It's absolutely madness. But yeah, I think that's the worst performance of the season so far.
Kelly?
cat. Just cat. There's no other way. There's no other way to describe it. We weren't in the game. We were never in it. I mean, yeah, look, we rallied for the last couple of minutes. We were never in the match. Never in it. Not in a million years. Like, it's Jordan Gibbs is an excellent footballer, but when we've got the likes of Han out on the right, we've Duffy out on the wing, we have to create more. There has to be something. Like, we created nothing. McStogan got a couple of headers later on. Sahibo got a header. McGinty was off a great hit. Even for the goal, Cleary gets caught further up the field and it leaves Boyle exposed, but he just gets turned inside out. Gibson runs in, shoots early because Boyle's closed him down. If Boyle's not chasing, he probably actually goes closer to the keeper and maybe makes it a little bit difficult for himself. But I'm not a goalkeeper. If there's any goalkeepers, I don't know if he can do any better. I'm not sure. But I mean, to me, he looks like it was in the bottom corner and he probably should be stretching over forward. But he maybe might be a step to the left, a wee bit too far. But there was just nothing in it. Like, it's hard to even analyse it. There's nothing you can say. They just had nothing. Like, we play 40 minutes against 10 men, and Sligo were still the better team up until the last maybe 7 or 8 minutes. I know McGinty puts off a great save, but we would have robbed the draw, completely robbed it. I don't know. Look, we can talk about the goalkeeping. We can talk about the manager situation. It's like, I mean, we're listening during the week and we're talking, and they have this persona, that have this attitude of, we're in no panic. We are definitely in a panic. We need someone to come in there quick. Like, I get the impression they're obviously waiting for that certain name that's been mentioned on Twitter. They're waiting for that person to be, I don't know, out of contract. I'm not sure, but they need to do something quick. Like, they've had a very fortunate time, I suppose, the amount of games they've had, but they haven't taken advantage of it. We haven't. Like, Sligo have been very good this season, but I would fancy us in Oriel Park, with the exception of Rovers, to beat anybody. There's just nothing in it. I just don't get it. I just can't. I can't put into words how frustrating and annoyed I am watching that muck for 90 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I touched on it a few weeks ago. I said, when Sean, in the Sean McCaffrey era in 2012, where we had a slashed budget, at least we knew we had players that weren't up to it. The frustrating thing now is we have so many players with a lot of talent, and they're just so disorganised. We have a director of football and the club's only going in one direction, and that's down. And I'm sorry for being brutally honest, but that's the truth of it. The on-field stuff is the buck is supposed to stop with him as director of football, so it has to. And we're going out post-match, pre-match yesterday during his interviews and everything, and he's going out to start a row with the media. This is a professional fella, and we thought when he was being brought in, he was coming in to make everything better and to professionalise and kind of keep the boardroom antics at bay. And to me, it's worse. It's gotten worse. And we played against some of the worst teams in the league over the last 3 weeks, and the results, which were positive results, have papered over so many cracks.
Yeah.
The positive results, but they were terrible performances. And I don't doubt for a second that had Filippo Giovagnoli been here and Shane Keegan, and we'll touch on his interview a little bit later, but had they have been there for the last 3 weeks, we probably would have got the same results we got in the last couple of weeks. It's absolutely no better, and you've got players out there, and I hate having been involved as kit man for a few years with the club and knowing the effort that players go through. And Steph, you'll agree with this, and Mark Rossiter, I'm sure, when he comes on a little bit later, will agree with it. You can't put all the blame on the players for this. There was absolutely no direction. They didn't have any fighting spirit tonight. And Sligo were organised, and that was the main difference between the two sides. They knew what they were going out to do. Our players didn't. It's as simple as that. Our lads didn't go out, and we can say as much as we want. It's maybe they don't know each other, but I don't even think it's that. I just think it's just complete lack of direction, and it's I don't want to put all the blame on Jim Magilton either, but it's probably coming from higher than him. But the on-field stuff has to sit with him. It has to rest on his shoulders, because right now he's the director of football and he's the interim manager.
Yeah. Like if we were still playing, if that game had another hour in it, we still wouldn't score. That's how bad we were. Like if we were kicking ball there from midnight, they'd still win 1-0 with 10 men. It was just so poor. Like I've seen some shocking poor. Like we've seen some bad over the years in general. We've seen some shockers, but that's got to be right up there. Like, look, I maybe because it's just after the game. Maybe I'm being a wee bit harsh, but if anybody wants to give me a better analysis on it, go for it. It's shocking.
Yeah,
it's shocking.
I mean,
even if you
sorry, go ahead, Steph.
If you look, like, just take Zhukovskis as an example. Like when he came to the club, he was flying. Like he was bombing past people. He was overlapping. He was putting dangerous balls into the box. Like, he looks like a shadow of a player out there today. And in the last couple of weeks, I don't know whether he's been shifted left full, right full, or what's going on. But I know the whole team's confidence is at an all-time low. But like some of the better players should be even performing a little bit there. Like it looks like everyone's just throwing the towel in. Players that you like, some of them don't look fit. Some look sluggish. Some of them look like they've just given up on the whole thing. Like they look disinterested. Just horrible to watch. Like you're looking at the games just so frustrated and annoyed at it.
Well, I think it's whatever's happening away from match day has permeated into the squad on match day. You know, we were talking during the second half in our group chat, and on LMFM, John Flanagan was talking to Adrian Taff about Sonny apparently has osteopubeitis, and that's an injury that's caused from dry AstroTurf. We've said it every home game this season. The turf doesn't look like it's been properly done. And again, I'm not trying to blame the caretaking staff if they don't have the equipment. But this happened back in 2010. We're 11 years on now. You know, we're in a much better position as a club, or we should be in a much better position as a club than we were back then. And we're still getting players with the same injuries.
Yeah.
You know, and it's completely avoidable. Yeah.
If I could bring in someone who actually probably know more about the pitch than we would any day, just Tony O'Kane is here. Hi, Tony. How are you?
How are you, lads?
Thanks so much for jumping in. What's your
did you
see the game tonight, Tony?
I did indeed, and I don't want to curse. Let's say.
I think we're all feeling the same.
Not in the podcast. I just thought it was a shambles. and as some of the lads said there, I don't know what it just looks like. A lot of those players have given up or are totally disinterested in what they're doing, and some of the decisions. I'm not like. I cannot understand for the life of me Darrell Leahy being left out as such. Darrell Leahy's an under-21 international, experienced player. He came very well recommended from Bowes, and he's not getting in there. And we look at the situation with the fullbacks every week. It's Rivas on one side, Donegan on one side, change over Leahy. You know, it's just we have no stability. I don't know. I'm a loss for words. And I just think a lot of the players that we brought in, there's better players in the League of Ireland.
Yeah,
I think it all started. I think with Bill's intervention at the start of the season, where we lost Rogers, Gannon, Sean Hoare, Dane Massey, Mountney. You know, and you just can't take those players out of a team and expect others to step in. I think especially the loss of Sean Gannon and Sean Hoare. Dane Massey to an extent. Dane had a great understanding working with Michael Duffy in that wing, you know. And as I say, like we not alone, we wouldn't mind if they went elsewhere, but they went to our nearest rivals, Rovers, to strengthen them. Yeah. And I can't see anybody touching Rovers this year. Honestly, that league will be over at the halfway stage, I believe.
Yeah, it will.
Yeah, I think we alluded to it just after the President's Cup game, saying like they've not only brought in so many new players, but players outside the league that know nothing about the league. Like, they're supposed to gel together. We'd no pre-season. So it's all built up towards this. And it's just been a shambles, and it seems to be getting worse. Instead of them getting better, it seems to be getting worse.
Well, I always say, like, if you take in players from different nationalities, different cultures, and you take them into our culture, you know, and that some of them maybe have language problems, communication problems. They're put into a different environment. The food's different for them. They're set up. They're in the house there mostly on their own. away from family, away from friends, and it does impact on players. It does. It's something to do with players need to be content in the environment they're playing in. And I think it was a tragedy that we didn't pursue some of the players that were available in the League of Ireland. There are good players out there in the league. I've seen a few now that caught my eye already this year, and we should be targeting that. I think there's better players in our league from what I've seen in there now, from the imports.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Tony, what's your thoughts on everything else that's going around at the club at the moment? I mean, we were always such a well-run ship. People in the league used to always look at us and say, idolise Dundalk, say that's how a football club should be run. Everything's just gone pear-shaped in the past year and a half, though, hasn't it?
Absolutely. It's just, I'm not saying, but that has to come from the top, like Bill is our chairman as such and running the club. Yeah. And Jim is in now. I know Jim way back from the Liverpool days. I know him very well. And Jim has come in there like it's a poison challenge. He came he's a director of football, and suddenly he's thrust into the role of manager. And I don't think Jim ever wanted to do that job, but he's been forced into it. Yeah. And it's a shambles what's going on at the club. Really, good people have left the club in the last while. Good people that were involved in the club and walked away from it. And for some reason, like the only thing that I can say, it's a good job the fans aren't in. I think the fans would be letting the club know from the sidelines what's going wrong.
Definitely, that's the thing. Like, we only touched on it last week and the week before as well, Tony. And you just mentioned it there. The amount of people that's gone from the club, the link from the club back to the town is completely severed of late, hasn't it?
Absolutely. There's no communication or no link with the club from the fans of the town. Nothing. Absolutely. And we don't get fed information at all. And I just think it badly needs a supporters group again. We must have a link. The supporters must have a link with the club and work with it, But I just can't understand how it's been let run this far. For such a big club and the money we're paying and the esteem we're held in throughout the league and our European campaigns. And it's like, I'm on the internet there, and the slagging that's coming in the internet for some of the other clubs, not alone Rovers fans, but fans down, what's going on at Dundalk. It's like a circus.
Yeah, and they're not wrong either. That's the problem. So, like, you might know a little bit more about this than we would, Tony. I mean, it seems like the managerial decision for who's going to be our next manager is taking a long time. I mean, how long would that process normally take? I'm sure you were involved in a few of these decisions in your time in board and chairman.
Well, this is it. Any managerial crisis with that club, they were interviewing within 3 or 4 days of a manager departing, and see what the applicants were like and have a look at them. And I think this has been left far, far too long. Far too long. I don't know what the agenda is with the manager, whether they have someone in mind that maybe isn't ready in a contract and they're trying to see ways out of it, or he's trying to see ways out of it. I don't know. But like, the information is now that they're not going to replace Jim until maybe the break comes for the European Championships. That's 5 more matches. We don't
have that long to wait, I don't think.
No, we don't.
Yeah.
I just I said to the wife there a while ago, I'm going to bed. I just can't watch this anymore.
And we drag you out for this.
It's just I'm not caught. She puts me in another room for the match. She said at the Longford match there, the neighbours can hear you cursing.
I thought I could hear you from my house, Tony.
Well, I'd say you could, but it's just sheer frustration of what we're doing and things that's happening on the pitch. And I don't know, we're making awful mistakes, especially in the Longford match. We just could not pass the ball. No. And it's a simple process of passing the ball from one to another. And I just think, I don't know, I think we could have been up there tonight for another half an hour and we still didn't score.
Easy, yeah. And that's the thing. That's the worry. That's the worrying thing. That's the worrying thing. It's just, it's crazy.
But you see the players making a mistake, and they're just throwing their hands up into the air, or like there's no reaction. You don't see anybody trying to drive them on. Nobody trying to lift them, give them a ball. Like, I can't see that at all. I know we're limited in what we've seen, but just coming across.
I can see that. Yeah, there's not that fight there. There's no leadership to me on the nobody hauling that team and saying, "Come on, lads, come on, we got to." You know, it's awful to watch.
Yeah, it's a tough watch.
And we are lacking leadership on the field. Just a voice to be heard, urging people on and organising, and it just seems to be everyone doing their own thing. And I don't know.
Is it harder, Tony, because we're not there as well? You know,
supporters,
they all have to watch.
It is. It's very, very difficult. It's very difficult not being there. It is. That's the big thing that we're losing out on. We have no support there. And like teams coming to Oriel Park now, it's the same. It's the same as a home fixture for them. You know, there's no shed driving the players on or lifting us for the last 10 minutes. Maybe when we need a big lift on the pitch, that's not there.
Yeah, exactly. Like Tony, we touched on it there. There's a few players coming up with injuries now. I'm just wondering what your thoughts are with the pitch at the moment. I think when you were involved and it was first installed, like it was a great idea because the pitch was being rented. I mean, I played summer league on it for many a season and stuff like that as well. Is it like it looks like it's even been maintained poorly at the start of this year?
It's not been maintained. I know that for a fact. Yeah. The machinery wasn't there for the last number of weeks. I think they have purchased new machinery in the last week or so. But when that pitch went in, Pride Sports that was the first pitch that went in there. And the guys, we sat down with them when the pitch went in. And the words they said to me, "Do you know anyone in the fire station?" I said, "I know a few lads." "Well, would you get them up on the evening before the match or in the morning before the match and just soak that pitch? Soak it for hours." And it's not been watered. We have no sprinkler system for it. And we're bearing the fruits of that. Now, you can see it at the moment. I think it's in a terrible state.
Yeah, the bounce is very strange on it. It's, I think the players are finding it hard to even read where the ball's going now.
Yeah, you can see that. Definitely. And it needs absolutely to be watered.
There you go. But that's another thing we would have said the volunteers would have done on match day.
Yeah, that's it.
So that could be another thing. Tony, before we let you go, I mean, the real high point at the start of this season, I suppose, was your nephew Ryan breaking through. I mean, we were all so excited. I suppose as a family with yourselves, you must be delighted that he broke through to the first team.
Well, that's it gave us a big break from the COVID. Yeah, it did. It was something just to lift us for a couple of weeks there. It was great. And Ryan's enjoying it. He loves it up there. And the senior players have been very good to him and took him under their wing and have looked after him. And like we all have to realise he's only 17. He's doing his leaving cert this year. And he has hopefully a good future against them. There was one or two terrible mistakes made of him. I thought it was an awful mistake to put him in against Shamrock Rovers starting off. That was definitely a mistake. Now, Ryan was better being eased into the matches. Maybe I thought in Waterford now when we were 3 up, he might get a bit of a run. But we made a dreadful horror with the substitutions. And when Dummigan got injured, we got down to 10 men, that he could have got maybe, and that's where he just needs to get in for 15, 20 minutes and nurse him on in the matches when we can afford to bring him in. I'm not saying like Ryan deserves to be in the starting 11 or anything like that at the moment, but he's enjoying his football. He loves it up there, and hopefully now his future is will be good there at the club. And he loves it. He just loves it, and still doing his leaving cert and whatever, but. He'll grow and he'll mature, and he's training there every day and he loves it, and he's training with probably the best in the country. So hopefully we have great hopes for him.
He was our shining light. We thought we were going to get a bit of a lift from him this season, but I don't think even Ryan could do anything to raise our spirits this year now. But just on behalf of ourselves here, and that we wish him all the best as well with it, because we just love to see lads from the town breaking through with the connections like yourself, and that it's
great. It's great for the town, but as time will come, hopefully it will.
Yeah,
absolutely. Tony, thanks so much for jumping on tonight, and I say we'll get you back in throughout the season if that's all right.
Yeah, surely enjoyed that. It was great, and it's a pity we just didn't get a win there tonight. It just would have lifted us now, and it set us back. And I can see this affecting us now over the next couple of games.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tony.
Right,
Tony.
lads. All the best. Thanks
you.
very much.
Tony, thanks very much.
Take care.
Thanks,
Bye.
Tony.
Bye.
There we have it, lads. Just
It's different to get that side of, isn't it? It's different to get.
Yeah, and I think that was it was good that we're looking at the pitch, and you mentioned earlier Pingu, and there's someone who installed the first artificial turf down in Oriel, and he spotted it as well.
Yeah,
straight away.
Yeah,
it definitely doesn't look like it's been soaked with water, like Tony said it should do.
No,
so I
like if the pitch is playing horribly and we're training on it, surely we should be better on the pitch than the away teams coming up.
Yeah.
Do you know?
But
like that.
Getting water during obviously it's not getting water during the week then for training.
If it's not getting watered for the matches, it can't be getting watered for training, surely.
I think Flano just sent in a message about that. Is if we're training on it, how come the opposition are able to play on it? But it's I don't know. I'm just worried about the pitch, especially as I say, Sonny's got an injury that Stephen Maher got that kept him out of the team for the best part of a year between 2010 and 2011. So it doesn't bode well, I'm just a wee bit worried about that. Should we go ahead and bring in the next guest, Chris?
I think so. Yeah.
So we're delighted to welcome on a Sligo man, ex-Dundalk player, has won a league cup with us, Mr. Mark Rossiter. He was there tonight as well. Rossi, how's it going, pal?
How are you? Are you well?
Not really, no.
Rhetorical questions.
Under just being polite,
Yeah, I know, pal. So Rossi, you were commentating for Ocean FM tonight on the match. What's your immediate thoughts on it?
Do you know what? Hugely disappointed because I was at the game in Longford, and do you know what it is? Like I'm listening to the show there as you're talking and stuff like that, and like certain things are triggering with me, with regards to stuff off the pitch affecting players on the pitch, and it's I to be honest, it's the lack of fight in players, it's the lack of urgency, it's the lack of all of it together, everything. It's to be honest, I know things off the pitch can affect on the pitch, but at the same time, the 11 players that go out, you have a certain level of pride and what you want to do, and it just looks like a very defeatist attitude, and I don't understand that.
I think, Rossi, like going back to the times when you were at the club under Stephen, it seemed like you were going out to win. It looks at least from the outside looking in, it looks like they're set up now not to lose. Is that kind of the vibe you get when you're at the match?
You know what? If you compared that team to say Stephen's setup, number one, the team is probably in Stephen's day was 50% fitter. Like aesthetically, when you look at them, they're big lads and they're big and look fit or whatever. But there's no, like when you looked at players like Daryl Horgan and stuff like that, they were strong boys, but man, they were lightning quick. Michael Duffy is lightning quick, but he doesn't look as quick as he did. He doesn't look as sharp.
Yeah.
It's a very lethargic looking team. And you make changes and you're looking to, I suppose, get a new manager coming in or an interim manager who's your director of football. And that doesn't even ignite them. The only reason to beat Waterford is because Waterford are a bigger shambles than Dundalk are at the minute.
Yeah. You're right.
Long and short of it, like any manager that turns around, I know I'm getting off the point here, but like any manager that turns around and says that he's going to leave 3 players on the bench instead of bringing up the 19th because the referees don't, protect the young players, so he doesn't want them to get injured. Good luck, get out of the league. Goodbye.
You're right, 100%.
No, but I don't like it. You know what it is? Like I'm there. I'm obviously. I live in Dublin, so I'm close to these games. I done the Longford game the other day, and I was, there's not even a facet of a Stephen Kenny team there. there's like everybody who I speak to will turn around and say there's a huge detachment from, okay, COVID has a lot to do with that because fans can't get into the ground. But the one thing that Stephen Kenny did was, like, he took a team that, you know, Darius kept in through the playoff with Waterford, but then Stephen came in and, you know, built from scratch, but literally galvanized the whole place. Like, I mean, the whole town in general. You know, like, he'd be telling the players that the most important people at this club are the people from this town, not yous, you know, and that's it. And you're playing for them. So have pride in the jersey and what you're doing. And there's not an ounce of that.
No.
I think even from
boys, go on, sorry.
You know, even from like interviews you're hearing during the week, there's like an arrogance and an attitude there that shouldn't be there from like a professional that's supposed to be in charge of them. So if that's breeding through the team, like what are you going to expect?
Well, I know that. I get that, and if I assume you're talking about Jim there, or are you talking about Bill?
Jim, yeah.
Well, look at like Jim comes from a different, you know, he comes from a different echelon of football from the point of view that he's, you know, had an amazing career as a player, and you know he's coached and he's managed it at a very high level, like, you know. So I don't think it'll do him any favors, to be honest. In this league, it's a fairly tight knit league in general, and you know I don't see what he's looking to gain by pissing off the press either. You know, like it doesn't, are pissing off the people in the town. You don't get any thanks for it, like.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, he's in charge of the team at the minute, and he's not doing a good job. And look, you can turn around and say, "Oh, look, we're looking for the right candidate or whatever." But unfortunately, Mourinho went to Roma, so like, get somebody else. Like, I could understand, like, if you were, say, you know, like at the minute, say Newcastle, the likelihood of them getting caught is non-existent. So there's a couple of games left, the manager is gone, and they're playing for nothing. Yeah. So we're going to put in, like Ryan Mason at Spurs, we're going to put him in, and then we're going to appoint somebody in the summer, because they can't win anything. So they can't do anything. So you're there going, we're not going to win the league, we're not going to get relegated. So the way we'll see out the rest of the season, 6-7 games, and then we'll appoint somebody in the summer. But like, you're literally just starting your second round of games, and he's been manager for 4 games. So like, it makes no sense that he hasn't appointed somebody. Yeah. Maybe they're waiting for somebody and to have somebody earmarked, and you know, this person may have to see out their contract or something like that in the UK or wherever. That's fine, but you know, at least speak to the fans, like.
Yeah. I suppose, Rafi, from your point of view, having watched the matches, I mean, from us watching from the outside, it looks like, you know, there's not going to be any uptick in our fortunes anytime soon. Obviously, it's a very pessimistic view, but having been at the last 2 games, would you kind of feel that way too? That where is the positive result going to come from?
I don't know. Do you know what it is? Like, I was impressed with Junior the other day. It's the best I've seen him play against Longford. And then, you know, today he just looked like he wanted to fight the world because he was garbage when he was at Sligo last year. But I know he was playing on the left. I'm not going to dress it up or anything. You know, I thought he was shite, and I watched a lot of games, and I thought he was awful. But you know, he came in, and I was impressed with him the other day. I'm impressed with him defensively from corners. And, you know, like, he looks lively. But to be honest, you need Pat or Davy McMillan there. Like, yeah, you need them. You know, I think you need to get as many of the old guard in as you can, because, you know, they understand the essence of everything that the town had. Yes, you don't have the fans there at the minute, but like, Pat's a baby. Like, Pat, you know, Pat Pat's annoyed when he doesn't score or he doesn't, you know, and I don't mind that. Like, he's the all-time goal scorer, and he'll score goals if he gets a chance. But yeah, like at the minute, look, there's a lot of things not right, and yeah, they need to just, I suppose, kind of get over this patchy thing. But like, they need, the problem is they're not even throwing in performances. That's the biggest thing. They're dropping points, but there's not even like some kind of positive you can take out of it. And I think that's the biggest worry.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, Rossi, I don't want to kind of stay on the negatives for the whole time you're on. If we could talk a little bit about when you joined the club under Stephen and your time obviously at the club. I remember I was there. I was helping you get your kit ready in the first couple of weeks when you got there. But what was your what's your memories of the Dundalk matches apart from running in front of the shed? That might be.
Look at it. Yeah, to be fair, I loved it up there. I thought it was class. Like, I can remember, you know, like, people didn't know what to make of us because I suppose we were thrown together. I was, you know, you'd already started pre-season by the time I'd gone in. So it was, you know, it was a good bunch, and it was like, I can remember we played against Limerick or something, you know. Jesus, is that me? Is it making funny noises?
You're all good.
Hello.
Jeez, I didn't know what that was, a horn or something going off. No, it was deadly because I've known Stevie O'Donnell since he was 12 because my brother and his brother played together at Galway United and stuff like that. So I knew him coming in, and I like when I was an international under 16, I went away to the European Championships, and Stephen Kenny came away, and he was only after taking the Longford job. Like, so I knew people going in, John Sullivan, a right back, for example. So yeah, it was a good place to be, but it was a bunch of players that had, you know, for different reasons, as Stevie said, for different reasons, you've got league winners here that are at a team that just stayed up via the playoffs. So he said there was a lot of boys that had a lot to prove.
Yeah.
And Stephen Kenny had a lot to prove after, well, probably to himself, but after the Shamrock Rovers fiasco, you know, things didn't go to plan for him, but he had a lot of bad eggs in that dressing room that didn't help either, you know. So yeah, no, it was what was built. I was there for 2 seasons, but what was there at the start to where it got to when I left, and look at it went, Jesus, levels beyond that after qualifying for Europe and stuff like that. It was amazing. It really, really was.
And then I suppose one thing that fans might not remember, Mark, is you were the first captain to actually lift the trophy of the Stephen Kenny era, if I'm not mistaken, with the League Cup.
In something, I don't know, somebody said it to me in 19 years or something. I don't know, but like at the end of the day, Stevie O'Donnell was the captain. In my eyes, I said it to him, you know, to go up and do it, and he wouldn't do it, you know. But like, look, it was an honour for me to play there. Never mind captain them on the day and lift the trophy. It was great. We can thank Dane Massey for his 2 goals, you know.
Yeah. So what was your favourite memory at the club?
Oh Lord, what was it? Do you know what it was? Because I had polar opposite seasons. I played the whole season the first year, and the second year I watched a lot because, you know, second game of the season, it was a weird old game, a weird old story. Me and Stephen had a bit of a falling out because my brother was getting married. We were playing against Limerick. So he was getting married on the Friday, and I said to him in pre-season, I said, look, I'm not going to be there for the game. I said, my brother's getting married, you know. So he had kind of turned around, and we'd had a bit of a falling out. So it was a case of, you know, we had a couple of discussions, and I'm not look at it was done behind closed doors, so I'm not going to say what was said, but you know, long and short of it, we came back against. I went to the wedding, came back for the game, and went back to the wedding afterwards. So my preparation personally for it on the day was awful. Like, I left Sligo at 4 o'clock and I arrived in Dundalk at 7 for a 7:45 kickoff. And you know, yeah, like, look, he knew I was coming. Like, in fairness, at least I came in the tracksuit. I didn't come in a suit. So no, I got there. First goal. I think Cherry made a mistake. Actually, a shot went through his hands and went in. I'm not loading on the boy now, so I'm sorry. But the ball went in. But then I set up the goal. I crossed it in, and Pat Hoban, I think, scored. Not sure, but anyways, I had a great game, and then I think it was about, I'm going to say, around the 65th minute, and Peter Cherry actually came and caught a corner, and then it was one of them. He caught a corner, and we're breaking, and myself, Davy McMillan, Richie Towell, we're all firing there or whatever, and I think it was David McMillan slipped me in, so I was the furthest man forward after bombing there, and I popped my hamstring. So from then on, like, Gannon came in and was a different animal altogether, so that was it was a difficult season for me to sit a lot, and still, I suppose, still be positive for the whole season. But going into Europe, playing against Hajduk Split and stuff like that, it was an amazing, I suppose, season for you not to play, but to watch the team and players grow. Like Richie Towell, a fabulous talent. Stevie O'Donnell, getting injured at that horror with Shane Robinson, and then all of a sudden him coming back and scoring the winning goal against Cork. I think it's one of the best moments I've ever seen in football. Like if I'm sure you could make a Netflix documentary out of that. So yeah, look at it. I know it's to see where it started to where it went. Like it was unbelievable.
Yeah. What about the night in Ridley's after we won the league?
Can't remember it.
You're better off. You're probably better off.
Those are the best ones.
Can't remember it. Any place that lets you in a tracksuit, I try to remember them. I tried to forget them. Sorry, Jesus. Look, it was class, like a class. Now it's all about the rum house or whatever it's called. Do people go to Ridley's now?
I don't know.
It's still there.
We'll have to get you back up.
Maybe. We'll see. I'm a bit old for that now. I'm 38 soon,
So, Rossi, this has been brilliant. Hopefully we'll get you on again. But before we go, one last question. What's the best whiskey out there now?
Oh, the one you like.
Brilliant. Well, Mark Rossiter, thanks a million. We'll get you back on again if that's all right.
Look at absolutely, and look at I'm one of the biggest fans going for Dundalk, and I really, really hope that they turn things around. I really do.
Brilliant.
Hopefully.
Cheers, Rossi.
Cheers, Rossi.
Mind yourself, lads.
Thanks, Rossi.
Cheers, Mark. Thanks. Brilliant.
That was brilliant, lads.
You should have said what he was really thinking.
I know, yeah. We're not going to do a man of the match tonight. We've decided.
I think people agree with us in the comments for that.
Yeah. If everybody who comments and says don't do a man of the match, we'll pick a winner out of that to win the pizza.
That's the
all right. But yeah, so that was look. It's a poor night. I don't really know what else to say. Should we move on to our Ask the Lads topic? If anybody has any questions for us, feel free to throw them in the chat box for us to talk about. But I think we're gonna focus probably on the big interview from Shane Keegan that went out on Off the Ball last night. Gally, do you want to start with that one?
I'd love to.
Go ahead then.
Yeah, it was it was a surprising interview. I only seen it on Twitter. I thought it was a written interview. It was done on, I think it might have been up on the Independent or something, but I thought it was I actually felt very bad for Shane Keegan. I thought it was actually a sad interview considering the role he had at the club. Like, it was great to get in behind the curtain and see what was going on, but I actually felt really sorry for him because I know, look, we've hammered coaches here, and look, that's what fans do if it's not working out. But the way he was describing it was, he was almost ambushed into the job. He was almost kind of like, everybody was caught off guard by the announcement, that famous press conference. Even Filippo, from the sounds of it, even Filippo wasn't aware of that was going to be announced. And it seems to be he was behind the scenes a lot, doing all kind of almost transfer negotiations and, obviously doing his opposition analysis as well. And then you hear the line for me was that the fact that he never hit the training ground for the week of the President's Cup. Like what's that about? Like as time went on, I was thinking about it. If they had have left Shane Keegan as the opposition analyst, why didn't they go get a manager? So we need an opposition analyst. So leave him there, let him do all the transfer stuff behind the scenes, let him whatever he was doing. Why do this Mickey Mouse shite of an interview and say completely catch him off guard? Like it sounded like he was almost forced to do the job because he had to sign a full-time contract. And so why not go and actually appoint a manager? When Jim came in, why not go, right, this is the chance that we're going to get a manager in to work with Filippo, work with Giuseppe. And we wouldn't be in this shite talk. And when I mentioned shite talk, now we know why Dan McDonnell was getting dogs. Like Dan McDonnell was talking about this charade that was up in Oriel Park and people were hammering. But this is why, because he obviously knew this. He knew what way this was done and what way it was handled. I just thought it was, I actually genuinely felt actually very sorry for Shane Keegan. I thought, to me, he was treated like a piece of shit. That's the way, like a dog's body. Now, look, that's no excuse for what was on the pitch. But he said in one of the incidents, he was sitting in the room and he was looking down on training, and then he's knowing that he's meant to be picking the team. Like what? Like, and this is not pre-Jim Magilton. This is after. So questions have to be raised there of what was going on. The big thing I thought was that why not just leave him doing what he was doing and go get a manager? Like, why do all this, Mickey? Like, I just don't get it. Knowing that you can't get Filippo on the badges, why not go get an actual manager in at the time instead of having this, he picks the team and just completely ambushing him into a job? And that's what it seemed. It seems like he was forced into it. And he didn't enjoy it one bit by the sounds of it. He couldn't wait to get out. And I can't blame him. I really can't blame him. I genuinely felt, listening to the interview, I was shocked. Like, he was treated awful. He really genuinely was. Now, look, I know we've hammered him. I know we've hammered coaches. I get it. But like this going on behind that, it's unbelievably sad. I thought it was an awful way for someone to be treated. And he said himself he wasn't even qualified for the job. It just goes to show, we mentioned a couple of weeks ago, badges count for nothing. Like if there's no point in having badges if you don't know how to use them. And he admitted himself he wasn't qualified for the job. And it just goes to show, like, you can spend all the money you want on badges, but you either know how to use them or you don't. Like, so I stop myself from rambling. I'll just finish on this. If everybody in the country woke up tomorrow with a full driver's license and sat the test again at 2:00, half the country would fail it. Do you know what I mean? So even though you have a driver's license, you'd probably fail the test. And that's similar to a pro license. Just because you have it doesn't mean you know how to use it. I actually thought it was disgusting the way he was treated. Genuinely, I thought it was a disgrace.
I think he was his own worst enemy as well. I think just I don't know him personally, but just going from people knowing him personally, he's a gent and he's one of the nicest fellas going. And I think he sort of just went along with the whole thing. He said it himself, he wasn't happy with it. We said from the start, we knew who the manager was. Like, the four of us knew who the manager really was. So they've got him in there to be the face of it and be the scapegoat, basically. Bill wanted him in, wanted the two Italians in charge. Like he said in his interview, he'd probably bring them back tomorrow if they'd come back. Well, I know Giuseppe's still there, but I think he was too nice, and he should have known what was going to come. Like, he's having to face the music of bad performances when he had no say in the thing, and he was only literally there to tick a box that he had the pro license. That's basically what all it was. And what he said was he had the pro license, but he didn't have the CV. He didn't have the experience of managing a top club. Like, he done a good job at Wexford, brought them up from the first division, and it's not an easy thing to come out of the first division. Like, we know some of the clubs that's been stuck down there for years, or clubs yo-yoing and stuff like that. He done a good job there with a small team, small budget. He went to Galway, it didn't work out for him, and then next of all he's landed as the Dundalk manager in name, but nothing else. So he was just totally scapegoat, and you'd have to feel a degree of sympathy for him. I don't know, like, where he goes from here after this, but there was a news report came out maybe in January saying that he was going to be a GA hurling manager.
Yeah.
And then next of all, the press release came out that he's Dundalk manager. So I sent it on to a few of the lads I know, and I was saying, so what's going to like? How can you say you're going to be a GA hurling manager and next, so you just drop all that to become the Dundalk football manager? It's not like you're taking up a summer league team.
No.
You're taking up one of the biggest clubs in Ireland. I just thought it was baffling when it happened at the time. Like everyone else, couldn't understand it. But then the more wee stories you heard, the more you understood that he wasn't really. He was just there to tick a box because he had a pro license.
Yeah.
And they weren't going to bring in a manager who was going to look after the team because they wanted Giuseppe and Filippo to look after the team. That's the reason why that they didn't bring in a manager who had a pro license, because they just wanted a puppet. That's basically it. And yeah, after listening to the interview, I did feel sorry for him. So, what were you going to say?
Yeah.
I think he came out with a bit of credibility, one for walking away, realizing it was a complete sham. And now, look, you could say he done that to maybe save his own face with his own career, that he might have something to come back on later on. But I think the fact that he went, look, enough's enough here. I am being used as a scapegoat. I'm being used just for having my pro license here. I was never brought in for this role. Like you mentioned, Gally, he's trying to do his own role while they're out training on the pitch beside him, and he's actually not there. Yet he's going to be quizzed pre-match and post-match on these players and the formation they're playing and everything. Like, you can't do that. That's just ridiculous. And the line I liked from him was, he said that he's not good enough to be the manager of Dundalk Football Club. That he is nowhere near the experience of somebody who should be managing Dundalk Football Club. And I just thought, well, there's somebody who understands how important and how big this club is.
Yeah.
And you can't run it like that. You can't run it Mickey Mouse. You can't run it, while not being there. You need to be like a Stephen Kenny was, hands-on manager who can completely control every aspect of the club. Like when Kenny was there, he controlled everything. When I was part of the media team up there, he would be talking to us about what we're putting out, making sure it's putting the club in a good light, no matter what. Yeah. Like that's the little nitty gritty that he would dial into. I want to know, he'd come back and say, I seen that went well, let's do more things like that. So like he is a complete control of everything coming out from the club. And then you look at it now, like it's polar opposite now.
Yeah.
So I think fair play to Shane for saying, look, I should never have been even in that situation. That sort of a scenario is for somebody who's far more qualified than he was. It maybe if he had a few more bigger clubs, or he was maybe assistant to a higher profile manager or whatever, or a bigger club maybe than the clubs he managed. Then you could say he'd be in with a shout of getting that, but not based on what he has done so far in his League of Ireland managerial career, would you say should be anywhere near managing that. And I think fair play to him for admitting that. But a lot of it just sounded like he was undermined at every way he tried. And he was just pushed forward. You're the license, you've got this, so you just go and do that. And to be fair, if all of a sudden, he was talking about people were texting him saying, congratulations on your managerial appointment at Dundalk, and he couldn't even text them back because he just felt it's an absolute facade.
Yeah.
Like
I think he said, I think his exact word, I think he said he felt like a fraud.
Yeah.
Like that's an awful position to put someone in. Like, Jesus, it then again, nothing shocks you, but I was genuinely taken aback with it. I actually played the interview twice. I just thought it was just an awful way to treat someone. Really, like, it's just such a shame. It's like, I even thinking about it now gets me back up. It's an awful shame to treat someone like that. So, like he said it himself, he paid for all his badges. He went from nothing to top, all his own money. Like he didn't want that, but to just be trusted in like that and just, it leaves a sour taste in it. the people listening to that must be thinking, why would I go up there? Why would I even apply for any kind of work up there? You know, Jesus.
Yeah.
And you have to admire him for walking away from it. Like, he stuck it out so long, and then he just said, look, I can't put up with this fraud anymore. Like, and that's, you have to admire him for that.
You know, and I think we all said it. You know, if any of us were offered that role, we would all jump at it. And I think that's what happened to Shane. I think he would realize, well, look, we could put you forward for this. You've got everything there. Would you be happy with that? And you were like, yeah, cool. You know, go with this. And then the more it all unraveled, I think he went, no, I'm better than this.
Yeah.
I think,
like, the way of playing didn't even match up. He said Shane's way of playing and Filippo just didn't match up. So from the get go, it was never going to work.
But if Filippo's doing the training sessions, like Steph, you, like, from when you were playing, imagine there's one person taking the training sessions, telling you how you're going to play at the weekend, and then come match day, there's somebody else completely telling you something that you haven't done in training all week.
Yeah,
you couldn't do that, could you?
No, it doesn't work. Like, the manager and the assistant manager have to be two of the same. Like, they have to have the same idea, same way of thinking. Though, like, the assistant manager is obviously the go-between. He can be more pally with the players, because he's not going to be directly like picking the team. But the two of them have to be on the same wavelength. Like, if they were working, like we said it weeks ago, if they were working against each other, how are the team supposed to perform, or how are they going supposed to know what their jobs are on the pitch? And then you had a third influence, then someone from the shed shouting a different angle as well. So look, it just seems like it's spiraling out of control now at the minute. And the one thing you thought, like, get a manager in to look after the team, make him the focal point, and try and kick on from there. But they're obviously sitting waiting on somebody. I don't know. Like, even when the interviews are coming out, you're not getting anything from them to say, oh, the process is further down the line or anything like that. It's just the process is in the process. That's what we keep hearing. Like, so.
Yeah.
So what does that even mean? Like, maybe they don't want to give their cards away, but like Tony said already, he's had four. Magilton's had 4 games now, is it?
That's what he was saying. Yeah.
And there's talk of him staying in now till the break. So how many more games?
That'll give him about 8. That'll give him about 8 in total, will it?
That's what, a quarter. Yeah, what is it? 9 games for a round. So
yeah,
he's nearly have a quarter of a season trying to pick a manager. So I like we said, there's no spark that we say, oh well, look, at least the performance is lifted here. The players look like they're really trying for the manager. They're looking to up the performances, or just it's so downbeat and everything's just wrong at the minute. Everything, top to bottom, wrong.
So. Is it a scenario though? Like, when you hear what Shane said, and then, well, I suppose, look, only 2 weeks previously we were talking about what Bill's. Like, why are we having these conversations, and why is the club coming out in these public forums airing so much? Like, it's a strange, like, this would never have happened in the old Dundalk Football Club, I don't think. A lot of all of this was dealt with in the background. You know, we had good channels of communication. All of a sudden, we're, chairman having one conversation with putting stuff out into the public domain, and then you've Shane come and say, look, it's a complete disaster in there. It's madness. I think it only adds to people saying that we're run like a circus, and you think, well, actually, we must be.
Yeah.
Because who's telling the truth in all of this? And that's the real sadness. What's going to suffer here is Dundalk Football Club out of all of this.
So the club is suffering. Do you know what
exactly.
I mean? The club is suffering already. It's the whole thing is a shambles. Like, as the three of you have said, it's like very sad. It's sad to hear that. Pardon me. Sad to hear that interview yesterday from Shane, and that's someone that's involved in the day-to-day stuff. So that's like. I feel like there's certain aspects he sugarcoated because he's that nice of a fella. You know, he said Bill Holzheiser's a great man and a nice fella, but a nice fella that knows nothing about football. You know what I mean? Like, if we're calling a spade here, there's a nice fella who knows nothing about football who's running a football club, and he's running the what people have said the biggest club in the country. You know, and we're the biggest Irish club. The biggest club on this island in terms of how we've done in Europe and stuff like that, and we've been run like an absolute shambles. You know, and his situation, Shane Keegan's situation, is only small fry in comparison to the bigger picture. You know, and he's been able to bring that out. But like, what else is going wrong? You know, what that we're not seeing, and that people maybe aren't able to talk about.
Yeah. Well, here's my biggest problem with everything that's going on. The whole house of cards of Peak 6 model is based on European football. And we're currently sitting somewhere mid-table. What are we? 6th. 4 points.
9th. Mid-table's 9th. Did we not say that last week?
Yeah. Boys weren't here, they didn't know. We're 4 points outside of European spot. Finn Harps have yet to play. That could be 7. We go and play Finn Harps in our next game, don't we?
Yeah.
So that could be 10.
Yeah, and then Finn Harps right, or Rovers Monday.
Potentially.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is we have to win the Europa League to qualify next year.
That seems to be the only way we're going to. And that didn't work out well for Arsenal.
and that's with a full and that's with the squad we have. Like, you know, if touch wood, if Cleary or Boyle was to get injured at the back, you know, then like we've paced it over. Darrell Leahy for some reason can't get a jersey at Oriel Park. I don't know what's going on. Like, you know, one or two injuries there, and it really is. It's curtains for top 4. It really is. Like, we said it before. If Chris Shields come off a bit of a niggle today, he clearly didn't want to come off, but he did just slightly before. He did have something down the far end of the field, down the town end of the field, and he didn't want to come off. So I don't know if he didn't think he was that injured, but they took him off anyway, and he looked like he was very annoyed over it. But if that turns into something, I don't know what we do. Like, all the midfielders we have, none of them can do what he does. You know, so it's worrying times. So, it really is.
Here's another question that I have too: is where, like, when we're talking about what's true and what's not. In last week on the press box, Bill Holzheiser said that he believed and the aim is still to win the league. And then Jim Magilton came out. I don't know if it was yesterday or if it was today. I can't remember when it was, but he came out and said the aim now, the minimum aim, is to qualify for Europe. So what is the truth? Like, what that sounds to me
changed in a matter of weeks.
Yeah, but that in a space of a week and a half, you know.
Yeah.
So what's the?
Yeah, and you've hit the nail on the head. That's the difference between Bill being completely unrealistic and knowing nothing about football, and Jim being a football man and probably thinking, right, we need to take it logically here. This is what we're aiming for, and that's the difference. That's why there's such a big conflict up there. Because you've got an idiot from Chicago, not you, Dean.
Cheers, Gally.
You know, and he's thinking he knows what he's doing. And it's technically FIFA career mode. You know, it's football manager, and it doesn't work like that. Like people will look at the table, and he'll probably look at the table and go, right, we're X amount of points back. Yeah. But in order to climb that gap, you've got to make up the points, and everybody else has to drop them.
Yeah.
You know, you can't just make up points and have everybody else has to be beaten, and it's almost impossible.
Yeah, and we have to beat them, and we just struggling to beat.
And that's what people forget. People think you can climb by gaining the points. You can't. Everybody else above you has to be better.
Yeah. Just go on ahead, Steph.
I was just going to go back to the Leahy point you brought up, Cal. Like, Leahy is an Irish under-21 international, and he played underage, and he went away and came back. Like, I can understand him throwing in Val if Leahy wasn't 100% right, because they've played on the Friday and then they played on the Monday. Dummigan's out, Tchaikovsky's played right full, but then surely you're coming up against two of the most dangerous wingers in the league. Like Gibson, I know he sort of floated and stuff like that, but he was excellent, and I thought like Val was like under pressure tonight. I thought he like showed a bit of inexperience. Obviously, he's coming up against a very talented player. Like, surely Leahy has the bit more experience there. You're coming up against good players, and like I've been told, Val's a winger. Like, he's not even a fullback, and he was obviously so. There's obviously something going on behind the scenes there that we don't know about with Leahy. He's not even coming on.
I can't understand it. I mean, when we signed him, he was probably the biggest. On form, he was probably the best left back in the league for the last couple of games, with the second half of the season at Bowes. And then for some unknown reason, he just can't get a job. I don't know what it is. Like, and because he's left-footed as well. You would, like, don't get me wrong, Val, he's definitely a star. He will definitely be, if he stays at Oriel Park, he probably will be the regular left back down the season. I actually think he could probably play out of the League of Ireland. I think down the line he could go. He looks a real talent. But for me, Leahy's got to be like. Maybe I don't know, maybe there's something going on in training, he just doesn't produce. I don't know. But he won't be with us. There's no way Darrell Lee's going to sit on that bench the whole season. Somebody's going to come in for him in the summer, even if it's on loan, and he's going to go. And like, he's got to win games. He's an international under 21. So I just don't know why. Look, maybe he's useless in training. We don't know. But I thought he was excellent when we signed him. I thought with this boy. Yeah, that's it. I don't know if there's darker force or worse. I don't know what's going on, but I can't understand. He can't even be brought up. Like, he was actually coming on the Rovers match. He was coming off. Shane Keegan, I think, had called him to come off the pitch for guards. Yeah. And Filippo pulled the plug and said Sligo. Sligo was taken from the stand. That's the last time I thought he was actually going to get a chance to come on. Yeah. Like, how long goes that? And I just don't. It's an enigma. It's really strange. Very, very strange.
Can I there's one or two questions come in, lads. Here's the first one is just, can performance improve after McGill rightly or wrongly threw the players under the bus tonight in his RT interview? I mean, we were listening to it before we come on here, and Steph, you said, Jesus, he's just nailed the players on that one. Yeah. He just said it's down to them now. He's done everything right, and it's the players aren't performing. It's not his fault.
Even if you feel like that as a manager, to do that publicly, like some of the stuff he's putting out there publicly should be in-house, and some of the stuff that he should be giving the fans a little bit of, he's holding all back. So it feels like he's frustrated, annoyed, angry. He's aggressive with everyone. Like, I can understand the position he's in at the minute, and there's a lot of pressure on him, but like the career he has in football, and everyone tells me how like the level he's been at as a coach. He got down to the last two for Northern Ireland senior job. Like, he obviously has talent and quality there within football, but he's not coming across well at all. Everything he does seems to antagonize the fans, and I'm sure the players are going to be looking at that interview.
He's just frustrated with everything that's going, because I'm sure when he took the director of football role, he was thinking he wasn't going to be doing these sort of things. He wasn't going to have to face the press. And is it because Shane's gone, Filippo's gone, and all of a sudden he has to do everything? And that's what's annoying him.
Yeah, I don't know what's the issue there, but I think he, like, just from me looking in, he has to be more professional during these things. But you can see he's pissed off, like, basically not putting it any other way. Like, but I just to do that to the players publicly after that, I know that they didn't perform, but if you're in a dressing room there and one of the players hears that, it just goes round to everyone. So I don't know if
you've seen with loads of managers before, and it's a real poor performance, they come out and they'll just say, do you know what, I got it wrong. I shouldn't have put them. They take the heat for it.
Yeah,
to protect their players.
I think if you give them a rollicking behind closed doors to try and G them up or something, but to publicly slaughter them like that, I've never seen it work, to go out and slaughter someone in the public. Like we've seen with like even United with Mourinho, him coming out and like he did a thing against Luke Shaw for some reason, but we see the player that Luke Shaw's turned out to be. Like I've never seen it working.
He could be the same.
Yeah, least destined for greatness.
Gally, what do you think?
Yeah, I look at Jim would be like what I think it was Mark, or I think Rosie said it. He would be old school, not old school, but he would come from that era of Roy Keane's, that type of, this is the way it has to be, this is the way we're going to do it, and if you're not up to it, you're out. And that's all well and good. Like Steph said, behind closed doors, absolutely hammer them for us. But I can understand the frustration. He's probably come out to an interview there, and he probably no more wants to talk to anybody, and he's just saying, look, I'll answer this very sharp, very quick, so I can get out of here. And I understand that. He's probably under a lot of pressure. I can't, whatever we think, it can't be easy. It can't be easy for Magilton up there. He's come under he came into the job under pressure anyway, because of the whole management thing that we had with Shane Keegan and that. But and he done himself no favours by announcing Shane Keegan as team manager. That didn't help anybody.
Yeah.
But I'm sure he's under immense pressure. Himself and Stevie, look at it. I wouldn't fancy to be in the dugout at this stage, but I understand frustration. But press will take that and run with that. And the boys would have known by the time they got to the car tonight that was on. They would have been watching the news coming home, and that they'll go to sleep with that tonight, or they might not sleep, and they'll be ready to go tomorrow. Because it's not like it was. Players don't stay quiet anymore. It's not like that anymore. Players will have their say.
Yeah, and I think there's comments coming in as well. That performance probably doesn't deserve the manager to cover for them, and they're getting paid to do a job there and to perform, and they're not doing it. So Jim has every right to have a go with them back, but like you say, do you do that privately and you do something different publicly to be united?
Anyone that's saying that is I don't know if they've been in the position themselves, but if the manager that's supposed to be on your side is coming out and slaughtering you in the public, if your manager went in front of your colleagues and just ran you into the ground, are you gonna say, do you know what, I'm gonna really work for this man now?
Yeah. You must know my manager.
Yeah. But look, that's just trying to relate it to everyday life. If your manager runs you into the ground, you're not gonna go out of your way to perform for him. Maybe that's just my attitude towards it. But if someone doesn't back me, I'm not even saying back them up or make. No, I'm not. The players know that. Totally. The players know themselves. Gally said they won't sleep tonight. They'll be thinking about it all week. They don't want to be in this position either. But you're just not seeing. You're not seeing anything from them either. But for him, you need to do this in the dressing room. That's on the training pitch. If standards aren't high enough on the training pitch, it's going to carry into matches. If attitudes aren't right, then bring the people. Surely there's people in that squad that's hungry to play, that wants to fight for the jersey, the pride of the town. That's what's at stake here.
And Steph, you were
and what? Go on, Chris. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, Gally, that you were only talking about the was it when Paul was on? He mentioned that things weren't going well under Giller, and he got in a performance coach or something that time, was it?
Yeah, and the McNulty,
yeah,
and the McNulty, yeah.
Is something like that's what's needed here?
I don't even know how the players react to something like that. At the start, everyone was sort of looking around, going, "What's going on here?" But it was something different that just seemed to spot. Because we were down and out at the time. We thought, league's over. We needed to pick it up then after that, but it sort of just gave us a little bit of a lift to just drive us on. And something different. I don't know. I'm not saying do that, but I think he just we've no answers to it. That's the hard thing. If you could say, oh, he's performing, put him in. Why is he not starting? But it just seems like even players that's coming off the bench, they're not making any impact.
Yeah,
Pingu,
and I think what's going to go against. Sorry, Chris. What will go against what Jim said as well is that they haven't performed since the first game.
Yeah.
So it's not like they went out and won all these games, and tonight you could say, right, we had a nightmare, players were bad, let's move on. No matter what's gone on, they haven't performed. So, do you then say, right, well, maybe there's players we shouldn't have signed, maybe we shouldn't have spent this X amount of money, whatever it is, and that falls as the hierarchy. That's what happens. That's what happens. But look, I can understand Jim's frustration. I'm sure he's like an ass. Like if he speaks to players like he did probably when he was a player, I'm sure he absolutely murdered them. And maybe that's what they need. I don't know, but I do think if the problem, the players have this perception that Jim was brought in as a sporting director. Now he's in the dugout.
Yeah.
So what are we listening for? What are we doing here? What are we asked? And that's the worry. It's.
Exactly.
I don't know if that's the answer or something like that type of thing. I would just replay what Martin Lawler said last week, and that's not to plug our podcast. But if they need a wake up call, listen to that, or listen to the video that Gavin done with the orange jersey and Jim Murphy's talking. Play that on loop in the dressing room before they go out. It doesn't if that doesn't inspire you to do the job, just like Mark Rossiter said, get out. Like it's the same with Kevin Sheedy in the water. Players, you don't need people like that. If they can't be inspired to wear that white jersey, get out the door. There's no point. They're not they're being paid. They're not doing this for nothing. They're being paid, and they're being paid well by the sounds of it. Look, and I know we're talking about Andy Boyle might be the only one signed up next year. That might be the best thing. Like, get them all at the end. Because the way they're playing, we're not even going to get top 4. Like, that's what we're talking about. And then, like you said earlier on, that's peak 6 mantra. That's what they want. So then what happens? Yeah. If they don't get into Europe, where are we then?
Yeah, that's my fear. Pingu, just on that Jim's interview there at the end, we were listening to it before we come on here, and he seemed to put a lot of blame on the players' doorstep. What did you think?
I mean, I think part of it is fair. Like, the players aren't performing; they're not playing like they should. But I mean, just every interview from him is confrontational at the minute. He had an interview with Kieran Burke, and the video stopped right before with Kieran Burke on between the stripes the other day, but it was yesterday actually, and the video stopped before he took off his microphone. He went to throw it at Kieran, you know what I mean? It's and Kieran wasn't they're difficult.
He wasn't aggressive in what he was asking him.
No, I mean, they're difficult questions when the team isn't playing well, and if the team's playing well, he's probably not asking those questions, but he's well within his rights as a member of the media to do it. And it goes back to it again. Jim was brought in because of his experience and because of his knowledge and because he was going to professionalize things. And I said it before we went on air. Sean McCaffrey got vilified for having interviews like that. And Chris, you remember you were recording a lot of those, where Sean was quite angry and he was vilified for it. And then people are laughing at Jim when Jim goes and does the way that he speaks to Jerry Malone and stuff like that. And it's a disgrace, And Sean would be the first to tell you back in the day, God rest him, Sean would have been the first to apologise the next day. But Jim doesn't seem to give a shit. And again, it's this attitude of I don't even know the best way to describe it, but it just seems like it's an attitude of I don't care. You know what I mean? It's that kind of arrogance. It's an arrogance against our media, and it's permeating into the squad. It's just like we said it almost every episode now. It just seems when we talk about the community feel is gone, and Stephen Kenny, with regards to media, was kind of a closed shop. We discussed earlier on as well, but you never felt like you were outside the loop either. And again, Chris, you were involved in a lot of the media stuff with that there, and Stephen wouldn't have been one to throw his players out in front of the media, but he wasn't. You never felt you never took it personally, but it just feels right now is like with Jim's interviews, why are you coming to me about this? You know what I mean? Or he's not giving a straight answer. Like, if he doesn't know what's happening, just say I don't know. Do you know what I mean? That's better than saying in due course. Do you know what I mean? Like, just tell us. And
that's the thing. People understand that there's pressure from above, peak 6. People get this. This is not a secret. So we understand that Jim's under pressure. This is not new, and that's like you said. Just come out and say it. Like, that's at the end of the day, Jim can recommend X amount for the job, but Bill made it very clear that they'll be scrolling through them and telling who he can't have, and that must be enormous pressure. Because, like I said, I think I said it last week, the week before, Jim probably only get one crack at this. He'll probably only get one crack at picking a manager, because if it doesn't work out, where do you go? Yeah. So I don't envy the pressure he's under. I definitely don't. But there's a way of doing it.
And look, this isn't the job that he signed up for. This isn't what he agreed for either. And I do have a bit of sympathy. But like I said last week, is he not the sporting director now? Or is he until the new manager comes in, and then does he step back into his role? Right now. Even we see Stephen McDonald, is he not the academy manager right now? You can't do both. You can't do both at a professional level. and you can't do both well. You know, that's something that might happen where you have a chairman / first team manager at a junior club, but at a professional club you can't have that. You know, you just can't. We expect better from it, and I think even in our worst days as a club, you know, and I go back to that 2012 where things were struggling, there was still some kind of a leadership there. You know, there was still some semblance of a structure, and it's not there. And with the current ownership, we expect better, and we should expect better because they come in promising better. You know, so questions need to be asked of them. Questions, just I don't know. I'm annoyed tonight.
Yeah, this is the other question I suppose we'll touch on here, and it's back to the managerial thing again. So, are we waiting for someone to come in? Is that what the big hold up here is? Were we waiting for someone who was already tied into something to be available?
Yeah, I mean, look at there's two names that are on the list. One is one's obviously Dave Rogers, who resigned from FC Arizona this week, and that got a lot of rumours flying around. And the other one is David Healy. There was a rumour going around that he'd be in charge by the Shamrock Rovers game, but obviously Linfield will have a cup final, I think, either that day or the next day. Yeah. So he's not going to be in before then. Yeah. But it's I don't know, like both of those names, to be honest. I just don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. If they're waiting, I would expect it to be one of those two. Is probably the best way of saying it.
Steph?
I think the Healy one, I don't know if it makes sense for him personally to come here. Like, I could understand if he was the manager, if he was a Dundalk man and the Dundalk job came and he, like, Linfield's his club, they're moving professional. The setup up there seems to be incredible. The stadium, they have everything in place. Like, it's his club as well. Like, so he's going to be leaving all that to take a gamble on hopefully having control of the team and not have a chairman dictate where he's going with it. I don't know, unless they can throw a bundle of money at him to entice him away, but I don't know if that one makes sense. Maybe he's looking for a new contract and he's just getting his agent to throw his name out there so he gets a bumper deal with Linfield. That's all my thoughts on it. Yeah, everyone knows who I think should get it. Well, not that they should get it, but I think they do a good job at the minute of what's out there, what's available. I don't know if they're going to bring someone in from England. How many times has that worked in the league? People that don't know the league. Paul Cook's an example. Is he available? I don't think so. He's still in England, isn't he?
Yeah.
Paul Cook done exceptional with Sligo. Like,
yeah, with everything going on, who's going to want it? Who's going to want the job in all seriousness? Do you know what I mean? Like, I would have reservations about anybody actually wanting the Dundalk job right now with what's going on behind the scenes, and that's calling a spade a spade.
Yeah, like you mentioned Damien Duff a couple of weeks back. Like, if he left the FAI because of a little bit of unrest, like, there's no way he's even going to bat an eyelid at it.
Yeah.
And if we're hearing the rumours about everything that's going on, surely within inner circles like he's going to be hearing the same thing, or anybody involved with football.
Yeah. Gally, what do you think? What's the big delay?
To me, it looks like there's someone in the wings and they're just waiting. Now, look at the obvious person that points is David Healy because of the time frame, and I think it's May 29th they're finished up and the season's pretty wrapped up there. But like as Stephen was saying, like, unless they've promised him a new stadium here in Oriel Park, it sounds like it's a mental jump. It'd be different if we were second in the league and our manager went over to England. You know, there's a chance, but it's a hell of a job for anybody to come down from Linfield of what he's done there. Like James Rogers said it on the press box, like, the stadium there was actually better for watching football than the Aviva. You know, so like, it'd be like, I think it'd be mental. But to me, that's what it seems like. That's, you know, we've obviously got Dave Rogers, Tony O'Donoghue even mentioned Dave Rogers tonight. If Dave flew in tomorrow, we'd have to quarantine for 2 weeks. So there's another gap that he can't take over. If it was Dave, we'd say.
Is he not all jabbed up though?
All jabbed up, but I think you still have to quarantine, do you? for 2 weeks. So
don't think if you're jabbed up, you're okay.
Do you?
Yeah,
That's a question.
really.
First of all. But it's look to me. From what you see in the gap, the length of time it's taken, David Healy's name seems to be coming up all the time. It'd be a hell of a coup for us. But I would wonder how they would have pulled him out of Linfield. Really, like.
Are they not moving full time as well? Is that not the plan?
They're going full time, and I think they're renegotiating his contract, so they're going off him a restructured deal. That I seen that today or yesterday. So
he's looking for more cash, lads. That's it. He's looking for more cash off Linfield.
He'll definitely get it here.
There you go. John Flanagan's all over this. Just left the quarantine, but not in a hotel if you're jabbed up.
You can quarantine. Yeah, well, he's at the quarantine in the YDC.
Quarantine in the YDC.
Yeah, out the window, like poor Shane Keegan.
But that could be why they're holding up. You know that could.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that's why, because that'd be great. Because we got the exclusive.
Yeah.
But look, Chris, one of the. That's what it looks like to me. But because there's no, if that's not the reason, there's literally no other hold up, unless they've got somebody astronomical to come in that's completely left field. But there's no reason for a hold up. I don't like. Yeah, I don't know. We could be completely wrong, and we might be surprised, and it could be the best appointment since Kenny, which is only 48 months ago. Well, not even.
The hold up must be. Flano was obviously going to get announced there the other day, but the appendix went on him, so he's been in hospital. So he's out of action for a couple of weeks. That is obviously the hold up, and he didn't tell us. It's just disappointing, but look, we won't hold that against him, and we wish him the best of luck.
Yeah, but that's look. We don't know. We could be. Hopefully, we'll be surprised. That's like all this waiting around. It could be all worth it. But at the minute, we just don't know.
Yeah. Well, before we wrap up, we'll go to the table now in a second. But I just want to tell everybody really quickly that a little bit of good news for the mid-season break. From July or June 4th, we are going to have a celebration of the 2008 team. We said we've gave Steph too much abuse that we're going to celebrate the promotion season for 2008. So we'll have a bumper episode with ex-players. We're hoping to have John Gill, some people that were working behind the scenes at the club, and supporters as well. So I think we're planning for Friday. I think it's Friday the 4th of June or the 3rd of June. So just keep an eye on our social media for that. And then Chris, if you want to throw up the table.
Yep. Still not great viewing, lads. Like it's an awful bit. Like a win there tonight, we would have been a point behind Harps, and you would have said with them to play next, pressure's back on them now. But it just looks like you could cut this table in half, really, probably, and it's slightly off half there. I think those probably top 3 teams will just battle it out amongst themselves, and the rest is much of a muchness, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think we're all just going to take points off each other, and it's not going to even be pretty. Yeah,
I think it is. And look, what can be a benefit? We've got 2 quick games coming up, but at the way they're playing, it doesn't matter if we play a game every day of the week. We can't get any points. Like it's crazy, and we could have picked up so many points over the last couple of weeks. It's so
you think how far away Derry was not so long ago.
Yeah.
And last kick of the ball equaliser tonight for them, and the wins that Higgins got before that for them. Like they're probably going to get a bit of momentum now, and they would be looking at and probably saying, well, look, Finn Harps are only 5 points ahead of us. They're very achievable now to catch them if we can get a bit of momentum. Waterford are in bits like ourselves. I think Longford probably overall their team's probably not that strong for the Premier Division. I'd say that's probably going to be their downfall, especially if they get injuries. Bowes, I suppose Bowes would be the other one you'd be looking at. It could be a bit like Derry. What way are they going to go? Potentially to have a decent squad that could do better. Which is worrying for us if 2 teams below us, Derry and Bowes, could potentially do better. That means we go down the table even further.
Yeah.
So that's the worry.
Well, the good news is we'll probably finish above Longford, so we'll take that.
The playoffs
every cloud.
Yeah. Well, I think that's it, lads, is it?
Well, whoa.
Oh, we got to do our man of the match. Well, not we have to do our not man of the match.
A no man of the match award.
Yeah, our no man of the match to win the Tony's Pizzeria. So we just
It's just an empty box. There's no pizza in it. It's just an empty box from Tony's.
We done a draw from people who commented in tonight, and the winner is Gavin McKeever. So Gavin, if you get in touch with Steph, he'll be able to let Tony know, and you can order ahead with your pizza. All right, congrats, Gavin.
The hair from the barbers and everything will fall into it. You won't be able to lead that hook.
It won't be my. At least it won't be my hair anyway.
And so there's no improvement on our predictions.
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting.
Steph still stays ahead with 2 predictions correct. Gally has 1. Me and you still with nothing. Pingu.
But let you go first.
We'll have to do for the Harps game. So we're going to Ballybuffet, guys. What are we thinking? Gally.
1-1 draw.
Oh look, he's gone in early with the 1-1 draw.
Pingu got there. He just got there before me. I think 1-1 draw. Yeah, he had the same. I can't see anything but draws. I really can't, and that's. Like, yeah, I just can't see anything but a draw, and I don't see us. It's not that I don't see us scoring too many. We just can't stop conceding, and that's we've got draw written all over us every time. And the thing is, I even think if we go out and play Rovers next week, I think we can get a draw. I know, even for that level, even there, but then we'll still get the draw against Finn Harps, get the draw against. I can't remember who we played tonight. That'll tell you. Sligo tonight beat us, but I think we could go out Monday night and still get a result against Rovers.
Yeah.
But I can't see anything but a draw with Pingu. Sorry, I wanted to copy him. Yeah, 1-1 again.
That's all right.
I'm going last this time to copy it.
You can't really tip Harps, can you?
I don't know.
You can. That's the sad.
Nobody blames you.
Look, the way it's going. Like if someone was just to ask me a score, I'd be saying 2-1 Hops. I just think the way we're going at the minute, and everyone's going to slaughter me for probably get slaughtered in the public now, like the players have been tonight. But just the way everything's going, I just can't see us. Like they've been doing quite well at the start, and they hit a rocky bit, and then they beat Derry.
Yeah.
Who do they have this weekend? Hops.
Hang on, you asked me the one thing I haven't got up. Hang on.
Tonight.
Yeah, they're playing tomorrow, aren't they? I'm gonna have to make my judgment on that. No, there's only 2 games tonight, Cal.
I actually got half or something. Yeah, I forgot.
Maybe they're playing. They're away to Bows. The way the Bohemians, it's just a tough game. No, fuck it. I'll go 0-0. I don't think we'll keep a clean sheet, but no, I'm gonna go.
To Bows. Pats away to Shamrock Rovers, and Waterford away or home to Drugs.
Yeah, no, right. I'm gonna nail my proper answer. I'm gonna go for a Desmond. A Desmond 2-2.
2-2. So you backtrack on your 2-1.
Right, 2-2. I'm going to go for 2-2. There you go. Right. 2-2.
So we got 1-1, 1-1, 2-2.
And you, Chris?
And
it's bad. You can't. The Harps. Don't believe it.
Yeah.
1-0 Harps.
1-0 Harps.
Fuck's sake.
Maybe I've gone for a win and a clean sheet every time, lads. None of that has worked. It's reverse psychology.
Reverse psychology. Hope the players are listening.
Yeah.
Really
that's
spur them on there. It's terrible.
Yeah,
like, we can't even...
And that, yeah, that's definitely going to say the same thing. This is an indictment of what's been happening. None of us tonight have picked us to go to Ballybuffet and beat Finn Harps.
No.
That's what we are at League of Ireland football at the minute. It's mental. It is completely mental.
Well, that's always, in fairness, that's always been a tough place to go and play. A tough place to get a result, even in the Kenny era. So, just right now, I just can't see it. If we get a draw, I think that'll be a good result.
Yeah.
Flano's absolutely fucking roasting me here.
He is. So yeah, I think
it's like being back in fucking the old days here. Being back in 08 by him just roasting me all the time.
Yeah. It's like a lot of people agreeing with me now, lads. 1-0.
Yeah. So no, thanks very much everyone for watching. And just before I wrap up, I just want to say a big thanks. There was a lot of people that followed the show, donated to the 100k for Charlie May fundraiser, which was done in memory of myself and my wife Emily's daughter. It closes in 20 minutes and we have over $10,000 raised, so to go to 2 charities. So just thanks to everybody that were donating for that, and it's much appreciated. As well as that, this month is Mental Health Awareness Month. Heading the game that myself and Steph are involved in, all the captains in the League of Ireland, you might have seen it on Chris Shields tonight, all the captains are wearing Heading the Game armbands. If anyone is struggling with their mental health, don't be afraid to reach out to Heading the Game, and we'll put you in touch with either of our charity partners, Jigsaw or Shine. All right, and that's everything from me.
Fair play.
Thanks, Dean. That was excellent.
Cheers, Stefan.
And just to mention, Darkness into Life is on. Just in a couple of hours, there'll be boys waking up. I seen Jimmy Fisher's doing it. Just best luck to everybody taking on that at 4 a.m. in the morning as well.
God, I hope they don't put us on while they're out.
It'll be a long 5k. It'll be a long 5 kilometres.
To be staying in darkness.
Speaking of that, thanks everyone for watching. We've got fans in Malta, fans in New Zealand, fans in Slovakia. We're worldwide, lads.
Yeah, we make the Malta top 20 every week as well. So I think it's George O'Callaghan, lads. That's who I'm convinced with.
Yeah. Pitbull, Mr. Worldwide. I look a bit. I need to get the shades now. I have the shiny head. I need to get the shades.
Cheers, lads. Thanks everyone. Thanks to Tony O'Kane and Mark Rossiter for coming on tonight. We'll see everybody next week. All right. One last thing to say. I'll leave it at Steph. Just stay up.